The Dungeon Master Experience. This regular column is for dungeon masters who like to build worlds and campaigns as much as I do. Here, I share my experiences as a DM through the lens of Iomandra, my Dungeons & Dragons campaign world. Even though the campaign uses the 4th edition rules, the topics covered here often transcend editions. Hopefully, this series of articles will give you inspiration, ideas, and awesome new ways to menace your players in your home campaigns. If you're interested in learning more about the world of Iomandra, check out the wiki. Dungeon Master for Life, Chris Perkins.
Wyrmworn Experiment, 6/9/2011. Monday night. Jeremy Crawford plays a human wizard named Alex, who began the campaign as an orphan shipwrecked on the backward island of Keth. There, he studied the magical arts under the tutelage of an Eladrin recluse. In the first episode of the campaign, Alex came face to face with Sarusa, a dragonborn wizard in the service of Shan Cabal, an imperial sect of wizards dedicated to magical research. Little did Alex realize that Sarusa had come to the island to kill him. In due course, Alex learned that he and several other children were part of a magical experiment in which the spirits of mighty dragon sorcerers were bound within them. In a story inspired by the Manchurian Candidate, Alex and the other children, dubbed the Wyrmworn, were to be used as weapons against the enemies of the Dragovar Empire. However, a change in the political landscape resulted in the sudden termination of the project. Shan Cabal then sought to eliminate all the Wyrmworn, quietly and without fuss, but opposing forces managed to smuggle several of the children to safety aboard 2 merchant ships. The ship bearing Alex and several other children was lost in a storm and presumed destroyed. It took the Shan Cabal 15 years to learn there were survivors. By the time he hit Paragon Tier, Alex was exploring the world with his adventuring companions, and Sarusa was nothing more than XP in the bank. As happens with many orphans in fiction, however, Alex discovers he wasn't an orphan after all. His father, Vincent van Heiden, was discovered to be an influential member of a worldwide trade consortium. From his father, Alex learned that he'd been given over to the Shan Cabal willingly, in exchange for money and the promise of power. Like everyone else, Vincent presumed his son had been lost at sea and spent years wallowing in fatherly guilt. After making amends with his father and tired of the sect's constant attempts to end his life, Alex took it upon himself to confront the leader of the Shan Cabal, Lancor Kriege. Lancor was an ancient, bedridden dragonborn archmage clinging to life by means of a magical crystal acting as a life support system. To his surprise, Alex learned that Lancor was the one who secretly arranged for the Wyrmworn children to be smuggled to safety, for he could not bear to see his handiwork destroyed. Taking fatherly pride in Alex's many accomplishments, Lancor also offered to help the young wizard contend with Harzan, Lancor's apprentice and political rival. Alex comes to learn that Harzan not only despises Lancor and seeks to wrest control of the Shan Cabal, but also conspires to destroy his master's legacy. Thus, Harzan, it turns out, is behind the attempts on Alex's life. Anticipating a confrontation with Harzan, Lancor tells Alex how to awaken his dragon spirit, believing him powerful enough to control it, but so far Alex hasn't dared do so. Alex has witnessed others like him dominated or destroyed by their awakened dragon spirits, and it remains to be seen whether he has the will and fortitude to do what no other Wyrmworn has been able to. Maybe awakening the dragon is part of his epic destiny. The Wyrmworn experiment was something I dreamed up at the start of the campaign. The seed of the idea was a simple character background. 1 or more characters are survivors of a shipwreck. Of the 8 players in my Monday night group, only Jeremy Crawford selected this background. As I began plotting out the first few adventures, I started to contemplate the cause of the shipwreck and eventually settled on a magical storm. I surmised that the storm was a deliberate attack on the ship, but why would someone want the ship destroyed? I made the logical leap that maybe, just maybe, the ship was transporting something dangerous to the Dragovar Empire, something that had to be destroyed at all costs. For the sake of good drama, this clearly had to be Alex. When Jeremy chose Shipwrecked Orphan as the hook for his character, he didn't know anything about the Wyrmworn experiment. His character didn't even have a last name. These are elements I concocted and doled out over the course of many levels. I'd be lying to you if I said I knew the full extent of Alex's story from the very beginning, or how the various facts would come to light. As happens, a lot of Alex's story was dreamt up along the way. From the outset, I knew 3 things were true. 1. Alex survived a shipwreck as an infant and knew nothing about his parents. This information I got from Jeremy during character creation. 2. Alex and several other children were turned over to a group of Dragonborn wizards, who bound the spirits of ancient dragon sorcerers within them. 3. Ironically, the same wizards who bound the dragon spirit in Alex were now trying to kill him. The truth about Alex's father, and Lancor Kriege, whose last name I stole from the wonderfully alluring actress Alice Kriege, came much later. Whenever something that would happen in game that drove home the need to give Alex's story a forward push. The decision to make Lancor a sympathetic character was a spontaneous decision that happened in the middle of the session, when it occurred to me how cool it would be to give Alex 2 father figures, each repentant for different reasons. His conniving biological father, who gave him away, the Dragonborn Archmage who made him into the man he's become. Also, I was wary of the evil Archmage cliché, and wanted the leader of the Shan Cabal to be something unique and unexpected. The heroes stormed into Lancor's tower, expecting a big fight. What they got was a withered husk of a mighty archwizard lying on his deathbed. The image of a figure who was simultaneously powerful and weak appealed to me, as did the idea that Lancor would do anything, magical or otherwise, to prolong his life, only to aggravate his apprentice. For Jeremy, who enjoys a good role-playing challenge, it was an opportunity for Alex to confront the architect of the Wyrmworn experiment and realize he's not dealing with a monster but a wizard whose lifelong quest for knowledge and power matched his own. This decision to portray Lancor as something other than a threat also opened the door for the possibility of Alex becoming a member of the Shan Cabal, which is basically what happened at the end of the Paragon tier. Lessons learned. I've been watching Mad Men on DVD. It's another one of those ensemble shows I like so much, where every character receives a measure of growth and development. Sounds like my D&D campaign. As is typical for me, I'll watch an episode and then immediately watch it again with the commentary track. What occurs to me over and over is that the show's writers and creators don't map out everything from the beginning. They give the actors just enough understanding of their characters to be effective in their roles, put them in dramatic situations, and then watch and see what happens. As each character's story comes into focus, the writers add new layers of complexity. They pay attention to what the actor does and give the actor new things to play with. Along the way, they look for surprises. Sometimes the things they thought were true in the beginning turn out to be false, or better yet, lead to deeper truths. The Wyrmworn experiment is an example of an evolving character arc. It starts with something simple. Your character is a shipwrecked orphan, and grows into something epic. Your character was sold to Dragonborn wizards and transformed into a vessel for a mighty dragon spirit that the Dragovar Empire intended to unleash as a weapon against its enemies. It's a difficult thing to pull off for every character, and frankly, not all players are hankering for something so intricate. For the invested role players in your group, you can develop similar character arcs by asking 2 questions at any point in the lifespan of your campaign. 1. What's true about the character? And 2. What's really true about the character? Alex is an orphan. No, he's not. The Shan Cabal is trying to kill him. Yes and no. He has the spirit of a dragon sorcerer locked inside him. Absolutely true. But maybe that's not such a bad thing after all. Not all characters have or need as much built-in mystery as Alex Van Heiden. Consider another character from my Monday night game. Matt Sarnett's character, Bartho, began the campaign as a local yokel, a dull-witted youth who fishes all day and drinks all night. All we knew about Bartho, and all there was to know about Bartho, was that he wasn't particularly bright, that he was taught how to fish by his uncle, who also happens to be the village drunk. When a character is bereft of mystery, it's incumbent upon the DM to get creative and look at all of the elements that make the character what he is, including influential NPCs. Why is Bartho being raised by his uncle? Who is his uncle really? Maybe the village drunk is a role he plays to divert suspicion. Maybe there's more to Bartho's uncle than meets the eye. In fact, what if he's secretly an agent for the Knights of Arden, a radical group led by politically motivated silver dragons who seeks to overthrow the corrupt Dragovar Empire. What if the uncle realizes that Bartho might make a great fighter someday and gives the lad a gift, a silver dagger that the knights carry around to identify one another? Maybe one day Bartho will find himself in a Dragovar settlement, innocently skinning an apple with his uncle's knife when someone familiar with the emblem takes notice. It might lead to Bartho's first brush with the Knights of Arden, or the Dragovar's secret police. Possibilities alone make me smile and clap my hands like a schoolboy. Next week, we'll check out the winners of the Magnificent Minion Contest. Until the next encounter.
I want to thank all of you who have made it to the end of this video. This reading comes from Chris Perkins' Dungeon Magazine series, The Dungeon Master Experience, in which Chris gives excerpts of wisdom and lessons he's learned from many years of running games. If you're interested in reading it for yourself, you can find a link down in the description along with links to where you can find the music used in this video, which is a product of Critical Role's Scanlan Shorthalt Press.